The Future of Talent and Work. Presenter, Margareta Drzianek.
Thank you, everyone. Good morning. And it's a pleasure to be here in Nur-Sultan and in Kazakhstan again. I've been traveling to this region quite a bit, and it's a pleasure to see how it has changed, to which degree it has been changed, and what progress has been achieved. I hope we can have the presentation up as well. I'm going to talk about, we see that there's some formatting issue here, but that's okay. We'll manage to understand. There's not much text on the slides anyway. Okay. I'm going to talk about talent transformations. As we have heard from Deborah, and I completely agree, talent is the new oil. Talent is actually the lifeblood of any competitive economy. And the particular challenge that we're actually facing when developing the talent is that the demand moves very, very fast. But the development of skills and the supply of talent actually takes very long, because you need to start teaching kids different skills. And it takes years until they grow up, and it takes a very, very long time. So there's a significant asymmetry when it comes to talent development. And this asymmetry makes it very difficult to plan for the future. And at the same time, this is the most important topic if you want to remain competitive, if you want to be innovative going in the future, if you want to master the digital transformation, whether you're a company or whether you're a country or whether you are an individual and you want to future-proof your skills, simply. So let's just take a look at some of the trends that influence this great talent transformation, how we call it, because this is going to be the key issue going forward. So first of all, there is one trend which is crucial and which affects the way we look at talent, which is the digital transformation. We have been talking about it for a very long time. It is happening very, very slowly, but it has essentially two different aspects to it when it comes to the talent transition. One aspect is that the business models are changing significantly. And even if you're a company that has been selling or in the retail space or selling products the usual way, the traditional way, you need to adapt to the new reality. You need to develop digital skills. It's a new mindset that you need to enter. And all those things are very, very difficult to teach adults, to teach your staff. So you need to significantly transform your talent base if you want to master digital transformation. You need a new way of thinking about new types of business models. And this is not easy to do. For those of you who have tried it, you know that it's not easy to do. The second piece, which comes with the digital transformation, is that the workplace is transforming as well. Our workplace today, and many of you, I'm sure, work already like this. I've been working like this. You can work across a number of continents at the same time, right? Because it's dematerializing in a way, right? We don't need to be in the same place in order to work together like it used to be. Digital communications have been enabling this over the past years, and this has also significant implications on how we teach management of teams. How do you manage teams across 3 time zones? It is different than if we sit all in the same room. The second trend, and also probably not a big surprise, automation and robotics. It has been affected many industries, mainly automotive industries, but also electronics and also metalworks to a large extent. The number of robots sold worldwide has doubled in the last 5 years. This is a huge trend. There's many different types of robots. We very often just talk about it in one way, and there's a very simplistic argument around it that robots are taking away jobs. It is not as simple as that, actually. Actually, it leads to a change in skills that are necessary for the factory workers, for the workers in your industries, and how things are produced. From the worker who's doing the work, you need to now move towards operators, robot operators, who know the technology, who know the limitations of the robots, the possibilities of the robots. Most of the robots are actually not replacing humans, but augmenting human capabilities. So it is really about knowing how to navigate this landscape and what type of skills we need. Third trend, the demographics. And we are talking, that we have an aging workforce. This is one trend. In most of the countries, the workforce is aging. In most of the countries, even in emerging markets, the workforces are aging very, very slowly. In combination with the digital transformation, how do you ensure that those skills are present within your workforce as a company? How do you ensure that your workforce, from a country perspective, is employable over the longer period of time? It needs a lifelong learning attitude towards education in order to be able to really ensure that people are employable until the end of the life, of working life until 65 and beyond, because the pension age as it used to exist does not exist anymore. The share of people working beyond, who are older than 65, is actually increasing worldwide as well. Another trend that has been very, very important in recent years, and where there have been a lot of studies and surveys published, is that the younger generation has changing attitudes towards work, has different expectations. Has different expectations in terms of, first of all, the work-life balance, which is an important one, because they expect a lot stronger balance between the work they do and how much they commit to work and how much they get in terms of it out of life, in terms of life. So the work-life balance is changing. But they also have different expectations in terms of how responsible they want the companies they work for to be. So there is a strong pressure on the companies to be more responsible in terms of inclusion, social inclusion for social reasons, but also in terms of environmental responsibility in order to be able to attract the millennial workforce, which is, again, very important for the digital transformation, but it is also very important in order to future-proof your company's talent pool. It is likely not going to be as easy as in the past to get the necessary talent, so this is an important issue to pay attention to. So there is a strong pressure on the companies to be more responsible in terms of inclusion, social inclusion for social reasons, but also in terms of environmental responsibility in order to be able to attract the millennial workforce, which is, again, very important for the digital transformation, but it is also very important in order to future-proof your company's talent pool. It is likely not going to be as easy as in the past to get the necessary talent, so this is an important issue to pay attention to. And one more trend that I would like to highlight as well, there's a changing geography of not only innovation, but also of economic activity overall. When you look at the distribution of economic activity, and there are certain sectors and certain companies that we call the superstar companies. And those superstar companies are the companies that have higher margins and that are significantly more successful because of their scale. One of the reasons is the scale. There are many reasons. They do things better, but one of the reasons is the scale, the sheer scale of those companies. We're talking about large companies and multinationals in the first place. When we look at the distribution of the headquarters and the activities of those companies, the 50 top cities that account for 8% of global population, they host 45% of the headquarters of those companies, of the global headquarters of those companies. So there's a very strong concentration going on in terms of which cities are emerging as the cities of the future. And for the cities that are not on this map of 50 cities, obviously the bar in terms of being attractive for those type of companies is rising, and there's a huge stake about being attractive for this type of companies, because those companies, once they locate in a city, they do attract others. There's a talent pool that's being created. There's huge economies of scale in terms of the spillovers into other innovative activities as well. So this is a very important trend that's fairly nascent, but we've been observing very strongly over the past years. Now, what do we do with all of this, and how does it influence the talent landscape? And I think what the one thing that I would like you to take away today is that this asymmetry about we need to do something today, but at the same time we have this huge uncertainty, and we do not know how the talent landscape is going to be changing over the next 5 years. If you look at the predictions that are being made about how jobs and skills are going to be changing, there's a wide range of possibilities. They're mainly survey-based. We don't really know. We don't have enough data as well to know how talent has been changing over the past years in terms of the individual skills, and how this could be extrapolated into the future because of the speed of change, because of the disruptive nature of the technologies that we have. What we know is that there are 3 stakeholders in this, and probably this one, which is academia, which is somewhere in between those 3, which is not mentioned explicitly. But for businesses, what is, some of the questions that the businesses is asking is, how will I get the best talent? How shall I change my HR practices in practice? And how can I change so fast enough as well in order to be able to adapt? Which tools and practices will help me? Where are the cases that have been successful? For people, for the individuals, in order to have a job in 3 to 5 years, what do I need to do now? Because everybody needs to take responsibility for their own skills development, increasingly so, and over the course of a lifetime. But how do I identify those jobs, right? How do I know? Which jobs will be in demand in future, in my sector? Or maybe do I want to change into another sector? The degree to which people will be able to anticipate this and to develop the right skills will give them a competitive advantage in the labor markets as well. They will be able to get jobs much more easily. And in terms of the government, is in order to be able to master this transition and to be competitive in future and to be innovative, what are the types of models in terms of reskilling? We know we will need to reskill many people over the next years. How can we develop those skills? Into which jobs? Who needs to be reskilled into which jobs? There's no methodologies for this. And there's very, very little, again, data for this. How can we do this fast enough as well? And then the last question, which is really important, is who bears the cost for the reskilling? Should it be more on the company side? Should it be the government? Should it be the individuals? Or should it be split? And if it's split, how it was going to be split? So there's a lot that businesses, individuals, and governments individually and together can do about the future talent pipeline. Let's just take a look. And in terms of business, what can the business sector do? I think first of all, looking at some of the HR practices of the successful companies that have redesigned the workplaces and that have become more attractive to the new talent. This is one thing that the business sector can do. Study those sectors, study those companies that have been very successful. You need to make the talent pipeline a CEO priority. In many companies, it is still not the case, right? It is still not a strategic priority to develop the talent pipeline. But it is likely, given those trends that I've just spoken about, that it's not going to be as easy as it was in the past to get the right talent and the right skills going forward. So be prepared that it's going to be more difficult, that you need to make a lot more effort. And think about it long term as well. For many companies, the talent pipeline has been, we're getting so many applications, we're doing fine. But as I said, this may not be the case in the future. You need to think about how to prepare for the future and how to think about the long-term talent development. It may be worth focusing more strongly on developing internal talent. For the individuals, this may be your friend very soon and your coworker very soon, by the way, but you need to take responsibility for your skills. In the course of the lifetime. When you ask people, how many of you have followed a training course in the last year, when you ask older generations, they very often say, I haven't done anything for a number of years. I have not adjusted my skills. I have not taken advantage of what my employer is offering me. There are actually studies around this as well. And we know that the attitude, having a positive attitude towards the future and looking at it from an opportunity perspective is also very crucial in order to be able to master the transition efficiently and successfully. And then for governments, and being city or country governments, there is a lot that can be done in terms of setting the right context for talent development. First of all, being attractive to the superstar sectors and to the superstar companies and attracting investment from large multinationals into specific areas and being very deliberate about it and very strategic about it is very important. So building a very deliberate strategy about for your innovation going forward is a very important aspect. For this, governments need to plan, track the technology trends, use foresight techniques, in order to be able to decide what are the game changers that are really changing, where I can identify those opportunities. They also can play a key role in terms of breaking down educational silos. Much of our education, and in this region of the world as well, to a large extent in Europe, maybe to a lesser extent in the UK, is still happening. You either do an engineering degree or you do a science degree in chemistry or biology. It's actually getting narrowed down further and further, but we're not sufficiently cutting across the different sectors. And if you look at some of the successful examples that are able to prepare for the future in terms of the education systems, for example, the Aalto University in Finland, I don't know if you're familiar with that example, but the Finns actually they have combined three schools, the schools that did arts and design with the management schools with the engineering and science school. It's a very novel and innovative concept that allows people to cut across the different skill set, right? To get to know the design from the perspective of an engineering degree. So you don't come out as an engineer, you come out of the school as somebody who has had an engineering degree with design capacities, who understands also the business sector. So this type of degrees and breaking down the educational silos is extremely important. And also we need to focus more strongly on softer skills. We heard earlier in the speeches, creativity, critical thinking are skills that are certainly going to be in fashion or relevant no matter how the world evolves. Right? So they're learning to learn and they're approaching things or topics in terms of identifying solutions, problem solving as well, are very important skills going forward. In order to master this talent transformation, we will need collaboration across the three stakeholders, and we'll need definitely new solutions. And I hope we will have more ideas in the course of the summit, and I'll leave you with this for now.